Hello, and welcome to the virtual presentation by the Asian American Task Force. This is our May 2020 Hope event titled Hope for Our Future. This is in celebration of Mental Health Awareness Month and Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. We hope that you've enjoyed our featured young musicians. Anselm, playing the piano, is a 16-year-old student from Calvary Christian School in Moreno Valley. And his sister Belinda, who is playing the violin, is a 13-year-old student from Valley Christian School, also in Moreno Valley. Our program today will take about an hour, and we will talk about the purpose of this celebration, send you messages of hope and heritage through our very special speakers, share with you how to connect, highlight the artwork submitted by our talents, and announce our winners. And finally, close with a very special message. Again, thank you for joining us as we come together as a community to share resources. With this, we will also share with you coping strategies and how our heritage can be a wellness tool during this COVID-19 worldwide pandemic. It is a privilege to be today's moderator. My name is Maria Menchu Abrigo. I am an immigrant from the Philippines, a community volunteer, and a business owner as a state farm agent in Riverside County, Moreno Valley. I am the co-chair of the RUHSBH Asian American Task Force. As we begin, let me first talk to you about the Asian American Task Force. The AATF is a committee of the Cultural Competency Program at the Riverside County University Health System Behavioral Health. It is organized to bring the Asian American Pacific Islander or AAPI population in Riverside County together with providers and community health resources for the purpose of networking, education, advocacy, and building community capacity. Our overall mission is to assist and guide the Cultural Competency Program to help the AAPI population and achieve the overall well-being in their bodies and mind. The task force has a diverse membership which consists of individuals representing several AAPI ethnic community groups. We also have pastors, educators, consumers and peers, family members, students, and staff from RUHSBH and other government agencies. Without further ado, I would like to introduce to you the co-chairs of today's event. Dr. Andrew Subika. He is an assistant professor of social medicine, population, and public health at the University of California, Riverside School of Medicine. And of course, we also have Novan Sayarat, a licensed marriage and family therapist at the Western Region Children's Administrator, Riverside University Health System Behavioral Health.
Okay, thank you, Maria, and aloha, everyone. My name is Andy, and along as co-chair of today's event, along with the person you see to my right, my partner, Tom Cruise, also known as the dashing Novan Zairath, we would like to welcome you to this Hope for Our Future event by the Asian American Task Force, which Maria just told you about. Before I pass it on to my co-chair, I just want to say an important thing, which is that although we are talking about AAPIs, Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, they actually represent two distinct racial groups, Asian Americans and Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders, who, though we share some similarities, such as a group-oriented culture coming from the Pacific region largely, the Pacific Rim, there are many differences that have impacted the mental health of both of these groups. And so one thing that I really also want to express is that although we'll be talking about Asian Americans, we are very diverse. We comprise over 40 different ethnicities from Southeast Asia, East Asia, the Indian subcontinent, Middle East, and the Philippine Islands. And so today's event, we're hoping to express some of that diversity with our group of speakers who will be talking about what it's like to experience COVID-19 through their own heritage and strengths. So to my co-chair, Novan.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Subika. I wish I did look like Tom Cruise, but unfortunately, that's my face. So, hello, everybody. My name is Novan Zairath, and I work for Riverside University Health System Behavioral Health. And on behalf of the Asian American Task Force and the Hope Planning Committee, I want to welcome you all to our virtual 2020 Hope event. Although it would have been nice to do this in person, given the COVID-19 pandemic, this was the best and safest way to move forward with this event. A lot of people have worked hard in putting this together, and like most people in the community, we are learning ways to adjust to our new environment, new ways to share our experience, and new ways to stay connected. I hope when this event is over, that each of you walk away with a sense of appreciation, gratitude, and togetherness. So thank you, and I hope you enjoy the next hour that we have with each other.
Thank you, Dr. Subika and Novan. Next, I would like to focus your attention to a very important presenter to talk about the purpose of our celebration. As a reminder, we encourage you to please use the chat box for all your questions, and our partner, Dr. Sheila Wu, will address them accordingly. Our next presenter is Gladys Lee, LCSW. She has held many leadership positions as an administrator, advocate, community organizer, clinician, mentor, and volunteer. The AATF has definitely flourished under her guidance as the RUHSBH consultant since 2014. Gladys?
Good afternoon. It is such a privilege for me to be here with you all. The purpose of today's presentation is to promote the importance of mental health care in our daily lives, especially at this time of challenge. Another purpose is to highlight the rich and diverse Asian Pacific cultures and how our collective heritage is strengthening us, sustaining us, and keeping hope alive. Now, let's hear from 5 dynamic speakers who are going to share with us their message of hope and heritage. Our first speaker is a young lady named Angie Cruz Chenek. She's a counselor at the California State Department of Rehabilitation. Angie has been a long-time member of the Asian American Task Force, dedicated volunteer. Angie, can you share with us how your Filipino American upbringing is helping you cope with the current pandemic?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Gladys. Good afternoon, everyone, and it's an honor to speak at this HOPE event. Growing up as a first-generation Filipino American, I was blessed to be raised not only by my parents, but also my maternal grandparents who lived with us in our home. Therefore, much of my Filipino culture, experience, views, and values were very much influenced by faith, family, and food. I was particularly close to my grandmother, who attributed her strength, courage, and perseverance to her faith in God. Both of her parents were killed during World War II, but was adopted and cared for by extended families, as well as her Catholic Church community. I speak about my grandmother, who had passed away about 4 years ago today, because she taught her 8 children, alongside my grandfather, firsthand what it meant to believe, persevere, and be grateful to God amid adversity, strife, struggle, and in this case, a pandemic. To the present day, as my family continues to cope with this pandemic, faith and family continue to be paramount. My sister, who is a registered nurse, has been affected by the coronavirus directly, testing positive and enduring the symptoms of this dangerous virus. My mother has carried on the matriarchal legacy of faith and family unity, as well as we endure this together. Our family and friends have banded together, bringing meals for physical nourishment, but also prayers, positive vibes, TikTok dance videos, uplifting text messages to nourish her soul. Whether we struggle or rise above, we do so together, in Christ who is our strength and hope, united in faith, family, and food for our bodies, minds, and our souls. Thank you.
Angie, our heart goes out to you at this time. It must be so hard that Samantha is struggling with this disease right now. Please share with Samantha, who has been such a great supporter of AATF, and your parents, that they are all in our thoughts and prayer.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is our future Dr. Catherine Ha. Catherine is a second-year medical student at UCR School of Medicine. Catherine, can you tell us how your Vietnamese American parents and their refugee experience have shaped your upbringing, and how being a caregiver for your mother who has Alzheimer's disease is helping you at this time of threat and challenge?
Right. Thank you, first off, to the members of the AATF for allowing me this space to share a little bit about my heritage and background. And so during this time of uncertainty, I've been able to reflect on the many identities that I hold. My cultural identity is Vietnamese American. I'm a medical student, I'm a daughter, a sister, a friend, and a caregiver. To touch on my cultural identity, my parents came from a war-torn background where emigration from Vietnam was their only chance for survival. At the beginning of the stay-at-home order, my dad actually shared with me about the times of uncertainty that he and his family faced when they left their home and everything that they knew behind. They had faced food insecurity, experienced racism and xenophobia firsthand when going through their new day-to-day life in America. My dad found many parallels between what he experienced and what our Asian American community is experiencing now as the pandemic has unfolded. There were just so many factors that were out of their control, but it was through the support of his family, Vietnamese community, and sponsorship that he was able to gain the strength and hope to persist. And it is through their experiences that I'm continually reminded and humbled to be where I am today because of their sheer resilience. And in thinking of my other identities, I had mentioned that I also identify as a caregiver. And so 2 years ago, my mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, and suddenly my role had shifted from daughter to that of daughter and caregiver. Life felt as though it were completely out of my control. However, even though this journey hasn't been easy, I found a lot of solace and peace in the continual support from friends, family, therapy, and caregiver support groups, people who are going through the same thing that I was. And now in dealing with the ever-changing nature of this pandemic and its uncertainties, I often think about the resilience that my parents had in coming to this country, the ways in which I've learned about how to deal with the ever-changing parts of my life, and ultimately have found strength and comfort in connecting with my Asian American community and just the support that's been overwhelming. Thank you.
Catherine, such resiliency, such an honor to your parents that you are able to bear the burden of caring for your mom, such filial piety, and also at the same time carry such a heavy load as a medical student. Best of luck to you. God bless you and your family.
Thank you, Gladys.
Our next speaker is the youngest member of this group. And I am so delighted to meet Emily, who is a freshman at the Ruben S. Ayala High School in Chino Hills. Emily spent last summer in Wuhan. She loved the city, had a great experience. Emily, I know you had many happy memories of Wuhan and its people. How are you feeling today?
So thank you for the question, and it's my honor to speak here. And before I answer the question, I would like to talk about my personal background. My name is Emily Ma, and I am a ninth grader in Ayala High School in Chino Hills. I was born in Los Angeles. My father is from Wuhan, and my mom is from Taiwan. In the beginning of this pandemic, Wuhan was known as the COVID-19 epicenter. However, before this virus, Wuhan was a charming city. Wuhan, located in the center of China, at the cross-section of the Yangtze River and the Han River, is the origin of Southern Chinese culture. There are numerous attractions and historical places to visit, and most importantly, the people are friendly. And last summer, I joined a summer camp that fortunately provided me with the chance to visit my father's hometown, Wuhan. I visited the Yellow Crane Tower and experienced the fascinating view of the Yangtze River. As you can tell, Wuhan is a lovely place. Then the virus came. To me, it was very shocking and sad that the virus was called the Wuhan virus, and the city was in complete shutdown for almost 3 months. And after the news spread, I started to pay more attention to the updates from Wuhan and learned a lot of information about how China was fighting against the virus. As the time passes, my school closed down and the United States is under self-isolation. During quarantine, my family and I followed advice from the government and the scientists, such as being aware of our personal hygiene. In the meantime, the United States is the leading country of the confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the world. I heard of many Asian Americans are being attacked and discriminated against because of the virus. Feeling unsafe and angry, I deeply feel that this is not the time to panic and blame others for this terrible situation. As long as we're educated about the virus, unite together, and follow the recommendation of the government and scientists, the virus is not that scary and can be tamed to be under control. Some Asian countries, such as Taiwan, have done an excellent job on demonstrating how to fight the virus. Being Asian myself, I feel proud that my home country successfully repelled the virus and provided a safer and healthier environment for the citizens. I now have hope that the virus is not invincible. I believe that learning from Asian countries on how they control the spread and incorporating the technique into the unique culture of the United States can help us combat and end the virus. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. What an impressive young person you are, our future leader. Thank you for your wonderful message.
Thank you.
Next, we're going to hear from Este Song. Este is a community volunteer, a foster parent, a staff member at the Asian Pacific Counseling and Treatment Center. Este comes from a spiritual background. She's going to share with us how spirituality is helping her and her family cope at this time. Este.
Thank you, Ms. Travis. Hello, everyone. It is a pleasure and honor to be here. I would like to take this opportunity to thank those who have jobs on the front lines battling COVID-19 while taking care of their own families for their sacrificial services. I'm a mother of 5 wonderful children. When COVID-19 pandemic struck my world, my biggest concerns were for my youngest 2 boys, especially for my 3-year-old who has been diagnosed with severe autism. Prior to COVID-19 pandemic, he was receiving speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy, and IVF therapy. And we had teachers coming 5 days a week to help him. If I may, I'd like to brag a little bit about my son. He's amazingly sweet, who gives so much love. And he's amazingly resilient, who made a huge progress from within few months of receiving these services. So I was so hopeful that with these therapies and interventions that he would continue to progress and thrive. Then my worst nightmare came true. All had to stop. My biggest concern was that he would regress, and this concern became my anxiety. I worked tirelessly trying to be his speech therapist, trying to be his occupational therapist, trying to learn things online, taking classes, watching countless YouTube videos. I was losing sleep. I was constantly thinking about what I need to do to help him not to regress. One late evening, I was still on the computer learning how to help him. I felt the heat wrap tape coming off from my neck. I've been having neck pains, backaches, headaches for some time. My body's been sending out signals that I was exhausted, that my mental health was being compromised. But I dismissed them all because my son's needs were more important than anything else. However, no matter how much I tried, it seemed that I wasn't doing enough. I broke down and I cried. I was afraid. I was struggling. I was anxious. I was exhausted. More than anything, I was helpless. I was so fearful that my son would regress. I cried and I started praying to my Lord Jesus. Because you see, throughout my life, through times, joy and tribulation, his faithfulness remained consistent and steadfast. As God reminded me to trust him, the promise I claim from his word, cast all your cares upon him because he cares for you. I started to pray, please help me, God. Please help my precious son. Once again, I cried out, pleading to God. As I lay all my burdens and fears at his feet, subtly and gently, he filled my heart with peace and comfort, which surpassed all understanding. You see, my dear son was relinquished for adoption from the very moment he took his very first breath. Once again, I was reminded that God who preserved the very life of my son against all odds, God who knew him before he was conceived, loves and cares for him. He will continue to do his great work in his life. He would never forsake my precious little one. He has a plan for him. He has a plan to prosper him. And he has a plan not to hurt him. He has a plan to give him hope and a future. It's a hope never disappoints. It's a hope that brings joy and peace in my innermost being. This hope is in our Lord Jesus Christ. This hope enables me to endure patiently. This hope in our Lord Jesus Christ sustains me. I was all of his faithfulness, grace, mercy, and his unfailing love. I woke up next morning with beautiful morning sunlight shining upon my precious son's face, and my little one opened his beautiful eyes with the most precious, beautiful smile on his face. He said, I love you, Mommy. God truly blessed me with the world's greatest love. I'm enjoying every moment of our time together, one day at a time. May the hope from our Lord bring you and your family everlasting peace. Thank you very much.
Wow, Esther, thank you for such an inspirational story from your heart. Thank you. And now to our last speaker, last but not least, Novan Zariev, our Asian American Task Force co-chair and the co-chair of today's event. Novan, can you share with us how your refugee experience, your migration experience is helping you cope now with this COVID-19 pandemic?
Yes, thank you, Gladys. And thank you everyone for tuning in. It's an honor to share with you my experience as a Laotian refugee and how it's helped me and my family during this extraordinary time of COVID-19. A little backstory. My family came to the US in 1980. I was about 7 years old at the time. My parents left everything they had in Laos. They left our house in the city, a family farm in the countryside, and one of my older sister who was wheelchair bound and had cerebral palsy along with other medical problems. So with her condition, there was no way she could safely undertake the journey to escape Laos. So my mom made the difficult decision to leave my sister in the care of one of my aunts, who chose to stay behind. My mom knew well that there was little chance of seeing, her again once we left. And as a parent, I can't imagine how difficult it must have been for my mom to make that decision, to leave a child behind and knowing that you're unlikely to see them again. But I understand why she did it. She recognized that for her other children to have a chance in life, she had to make difficult decisions. She also knew that if you can extend the day and time, then you give yourself a chance to come back again. Our journey started in the middle of the night, crossing the Mekong River. Once we made it safely across the river, we spent almost a year in a primitive Thai refugee camp. It was a squalid condition, right? There's no running water, there's no indoor toilets, no regular showers. I remember it being humid, and because of the humidity, we were often sticky and dirty. But we tried to make the best out of it. So our journey started in the middle of the night, crossing the Mekong River, right? Once we made it over, we spent again time in Thailand, in the camp. And then after that, we came to America. We arrived with nothing but the clothes on our back. And I remember, a goodie bag, right? That had like teddy bear, candy, and some other items. So the whole experience taught me that life is precious, even at that young age. To survive as a refugee, you have to be resilient and relentless. You have to work together, and you have to be smart and make decisions. And lastly, the choices that you make require sacrifices for the greater good of others. For example, I made a point when I was in elementary school to not bother my parents or ask for money because we simply didn't have any. My parents worked hard day and night just to put food on the table. I remember, young, wearing shoes that were worn out and holes. I put, duct tape on and continue wearing them. I also remember one time I was playing basketball and I got my front tooth knocked out or cracked. And I didn't tell my parents about it because I didn't want them to worry and I didn't want them to take me to the dentist, which would mean, more money that they would have to spend. So that was a type of sacrifice that I made, my sisters and brothers made while growing up. So fast forward now, right? Here I am, 46 years old with a wife, 3 boys, age 14, 12, and 9. So when COVID-19 hit and the schools shut down and people made a run for rice and toilet papers, like it was the end of the world, my kids were scared and had a lot of questions, and rightfully so. So I used this time as an opportunity to teach them the lessons of my childhood. They knew the story of how their parents came over to the US. However, I began to focus on the values that got me through that difficult time, a time of extreme anxiety and uncertainty, just like today. I stressed the importance of maintaining our family bond and closeness and how it's helped us to overcome the anxiety and fear. I share with them the importance of being resilient, of not complaining or playing the victim when things don't go their way or they're afraid. As a refugee or having that refugee mindset, you ain't got time for that, right? No one has time for that. So you have to be smart and not overreact. You have to have faith that things will work out, and you have to continue to love the people around you. But most importantly, you have to be willing to make sacrifice in order to get somewhere better. So that's the lesson I learned as a young refugee, and that's the lesson that I'm passing on to my boys, and hopefully they're listening. If not, we're gonna have that conversation again. So thank you for your time, and I really appreciate the opportunity to speak about my experience.
Thank you, Novan, and thank you to all of our speakers. Your message really instilled in us how our rich heritage have given us qualities like resiliency, faith, perseverance, humility, hard work, mutual support, and the determination to overcome. I feel humbled. Thank you all so much. And now we will go back to our co-chair, Ms. Maria Abrigo, who will introduce the next segment.
Thank you so much, Gladys. Such compelling and powerful messages. Thank you to our very great speakers for sharing your stories. To share with us resources on how to connect, let us welcome back Dr. Subika, and I'd like also to introduce to you Dr. Wu. Dr. Sheila Wu is a licensed psychologist and the director of the Asian Pacific Counseling and Treatment Center's Special Services for Groups. Thank you for keeping us connected, Dr. Subika and Dr. Wu.
Yeah, hi everyone. They were really good stories. Thank you to all the panelists for that. Moving to the next slide, if we could. All right, so what are we going to talk about today? Well, we heard about some of the challenges and the way we're coping, and what I want to talk about are the unique resources to cope with the stress of COVID-19 that AAPIs have. And one of the most important ones that we have is that we have a broader perspective on health and mental health than a lot of Western cultures do and a lot of US healthcare systems do. So as an example, what I commonly say is imagine the last time that you went to see your doctor for a weekly checkup. All right, you go in, did your doctor ask you about your mental health, whether you were experiencing suicide, thoughts or depression, whether you were anxious or drinking too much? Very typically, that's not the way it works here in Western society. Mental health and health are seen as very different. But for Asian Americans, Pacific Islanders, health is actually seen as a combination of the mind and the body. They partner together to improve health. And so what treats the mind can heal the body. The other important thing, and these are the main things I want to talk about now, is that there's a third resource here, and that's spirit. Health is not just mind and body for a lot of Asian American Pacific Islander cultures, but it's about mind, body, spirit connection, with the spirit being essential to making the body and the mind function properly. If we can go to the next slide. There you go. So what do we do? Well, number one is during this time when people are feeling stressed, I think it's very important that we embrace our spiritual needs. There are a lot of great Eastern-based strategies, meditation, mindfulness, deep breathing, and one of my personal favorites is yoga. I do that almost every day to cope with the stress that I'm experiencing these days. Importantly, also about spiritual needs are issues like faith and embracing prayer. But here's another thing. We are often sheltered in place. We're stuck in our own homes. And I think it's essential that we start to reconnect with the world around us. And that can involve connecting with nature. I go for walks every day. People go to the water, or even sitting under a tree can help our spiritual selves kind of heal during this time. The second thing is, do not be afraid to talk with your family, your friends, your pastor, your minister, or even your coworkers if you're feeling upset or angry or anxious or worried during this time, or even if you're just feeling lonely. I will be honest, I've talked to many people, and I feel like every single person I've talked to is struggling to some degree right now. And so during this once in a lifetime crisis that we're going through, do not be afraid to share your emotions. It's probably best not to keep them in and instead talk to our loved ones. And then finally, be kind to ourselves. Take a break. Take time to do activities, even though they're limited in what we can do, and make sure to maintain social distancing. The next slide is important because it has a number of resources. And then I want to end with the next slides. So this is a unique time. Not only are everybody experiencing these fears and these worries about coming down with COVID-19 and all of the difficulties and health problems associated with the coronavirus, But Asian American Pacific Islanders are experiencing this unique level of discrimination around this virus. We're seeing all these stories about discrimination. We're seeing stories on the media about hate crimes against Asian American Pacific Islanders here in the US, in Canada, in Europe. We're hearing political speeches, right? Emily was talking about how it's called the Wuhan virus, right? We're blaming Asian Americans and often Chinese for bringing the virus to the US. And then a lot of Asian Americans are reporting that they're experiencing more discrimination when they do go outside, when they go to the grocery stores. And so if we go to the next slide, what can you do to cope with this very unique type of stressor? So the first thing is, if you feel like you've been discriminated against or you have experienced something like this, do not keep it inside, do not internalize it. Talk with people, people you love, people you trust, or even go on social media, post it onto Facebook. There are Facebook groups, because that can give you a sense of empowerment over what has just happened to you. Dr. Wu is going to talk about the second one, which is report the experience that you've been through. And then third, recognize that if you experience some kind of prejudice or discrimination, recognize it's not about you as a person. They're not attacking you as a human being, and you are not responsible for other people's fear and ignorance during this time of the crisis. So I'm going to now pass it on to Dr. Wu.
First, I want to really thank the speakers for sharing their stories with us. It's just been quite challenging for many of us during the pandemic, whether it's your home life, your work life, socially, economically, emotionally, and it's just in all areas of our lives, because our lives are different right now. But, you know, regardless of where we're from, our heritage and our health and our faith will continue to carry us through on what's ahead. And so here I have some resources that I would like to share with you. And as Dr. Subika mentioned earlier, one of the most tragic things is the hate crimes against the Asian Americans. And as you can see in the slide, within a 6-week period, there's over 1,700 reports of hate crime, including verbal harassment, physical assaults, and shunning. And these are happening in our schools and in our neighborhood. And so with this organization, the Asian Pacific Policy and Planning Council, they've initiated a campaign on Stop AAPI Hate. And they partner with the community organizations to try to help raise awareness and help prevent further damage and incidents from occurring. As you can see in the next slide, there are Google Forms in different languages. So what you can do is, if you do witness or if you yourself experience hate crimes in your community, please do go on to their website, click on the Google form. All you need to do is fill out your name, the place of the incident, and what kind of help that you need. And there will be people that will be assigned to help advocate and to try to help you through the situation. In addition, in the next slide, you will see that there are resources from Red Cross, from the Human Relations Committee. They are also offering support. I don't know if many of you may have heard the number 211. You can also contact that number to report any hate crimes or to gather any resources that you or your family or your community would need. Now here at the Asian Pacific Counseling and Treatment Center, the next slide, we offer support and mental health services for the community. Our mission is really, we want to be here to serve the underrepresented and the underserved API communities. We want to help the immigrants who are struggling to adjust to this new environment. And right now, currently, we have several online workshops that promotes mental health awareness with various topics. In the next slide, you will see there are topics like stress management, healthy aging, parenting, etc. And you can find all of this in our website as well as in our Facebook pages. The next slide offers you services from the Filipino American Resource Center. And they're also very active in promoting mental health wellness and coping strategies. And you will also see that they have phone numbers and they have different workshops scheduled on a weekly basis. In the next following slide, you'll see that there's coping strategies. And you will see that, you know, a lot of times we neglect our self-care, but actually it's so much needed, right? Because without taking care of ourselves, we can't really take care of the people that we love. Additional resources in the next few slides are from the CDC, from the Department of Public Health, employment, as well as mental health urgent care centers in Riverside. They're all listed here. And if you also look at the NAMI or Each Mind Matters web pages, there's a wealth of resources there for you. And again, you can look into the web pages, into the Facebook and social media to try to get more information. If you're interested in any of the ones that are specific to your need, you can put it in the chat. I'm available to answer questions in the chat if you have any. After the webinar, these slides will be made available to you through the Riverside County Behavioral Health social media, and you can share the links with your family and your community as well, okay? So I know that was a quick run, but we will have these resource links available to you after the webinar. And now I turn back to our moderator, Maria.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. That was very good information for everyone, Dr. Subika and Dr. Wu. Thank you for keeping us connected with amazing, amazing resources. So again, let me remind everyone that you may type your questions on the chat box. Now, to showcase our hope for our future artists, I would like to introduce to you Mila Banks, BA BSE. Mila is the current coordinator for the Filipino American Mental Health Resource Center and a director of the Paris Valley Filipino American Association. Mila?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me, and thank you for participating in our webinar today. You have heard a lot of information, and we are happy to bring you more. Before I go to the art showcase, I would like to remind you that on the resources that you have seen earlier, there is an article about how to talk to your children about mental health. So check that out, and perhaps it will give you a better confidence to say what is mental health to children. I am a former school teacher. I am also a family advocate volunteer. So my heart is warm when there are resources that are available for these young children. And so on the lighter side of our webinar, we have included an art contest where we invited young people from kindergarten to 12th grade to submit a drawing, a painting, a short story, or other representation of their Asian heritage that has helped them maintain their wellness and bring them or provide them with hope. We also had one submission from pre-K, and I think you will love it. As we scroll through the submissions, of which there were 19 of them, these were judged according to 3 criteria. First is what we call the wow factor, that which grabs you, grabs your heart immediately with enthusiasm and appreciation. And I tell you, all of this submissions are wonderful, they're great, and it shows the future. Our children being artists, they have significant talents and skills that will get them through life. So with our guidance and all the other resources in our county, we hope that we will see them in another venue like this, and they will be our presenters and speakers as well. So like I said, we received 19 submissions, and the winners, we picked 5 winners. How do I get the submissions rolling? Okay, so from grades pre-K to 2, these are the submissions. And let me just give you a brief mention of their names. We got one from Nanami, Amanda, Maylene, Jesse, Hayden, Caleb, and Ying Jun. So enjoy. Grades 3 to 6, we have Dennis, Evan, we have Maxwell, Kiwi, Jaden, Joe, and Lizzie. From grades 7th to 9th, we had Allison, Adrian, Leon, Camden, and Victoria. All participants will receive a certificate from the AATF, and the 5 winners will each receive a $25 gift certificate in the mail through the U.S. Postal Service. So congratulations, and here are the winners. This is from Ari, 8th grade. He's 13 years old. He made cranes out of origami and joined them together. The next one is from Lizzie, 4th grade. The koi fish, as they swim in a pond, reminds her of escape from Cambodia, that after that escape, all things have gone well, and there is hope to continue and move on. The next one is from Kimi, a 5th grader. This is a picture of a Japanese temple. All this, his drawing represents the hope, and he says that culture lives on, and that is where we gather our strength and our hope for the future, that everything will be okay. The next winner is from Jessie. Oh no, this is from, let me see, this is Allison. She did a wonder box and a poem, which she entitled, I Am From Poem, from fresh lavender. And oh, if you would see this young lady's creation, it will give you such an inspiration that little things that are around us, if you look at them in the proper set of mind, they bring us joy, they bring us hope, and we can continue on. And the last winner is from, where's that from? There's from Jessie. Jessie made hanji. that is out of artwork from using Korean paper. And also with that, I can tell you how these young people use their cultural heritage and traditions to express what they think is a source of hope, source of wonderment, and a source of happiness. All of this, their main message was hope and love. And we give the same message to all of you today. So thank you to all the winners, and thank you all for your submissions.
Again, thank you so very much and congratulations to our winners. Those are just really amazing, amazing talents. And ladies and gentlemen, at this point, I present to you Mr. Tony Ortego, a licensed marriage and family therapist and the Older Adults Administrator for Riverside University Health System Behavioral Health. Tony?
Thank you, Maria. And again, thank you everyone for participating in this wonderful forum. On behalf of Riverside University Health System's Behavioral Health, as an administrator for our older adults program, I want to thank or give a very heartwarming thanks to our guest speakers today. I was really moved on every speaker that presented today. It was just beautiful stories, and I'm glad the camera was off a little bit because I did have to clear my eyes for a moment. But being a part of our family here at AAPI for quite a few years, I believe dating back to about 2016, I've had a real pleasure of working with this wonderful group. I'd encourage all of the individuals who are watching and considering joining our group as an ongoing participant to contact one of us, either Maria Abrigo or Navan or Mila, and let us know that you would be interested. I also encourage individuals to reach out to their communities, our Asian Pacific Islander communities here in Riverside County, and encourage people to, again, to support our task force and to join our task force. Again, this task force serves such an important role in our cultural competency program here at RUHS. AATF hosts several mental health and outreach and education events per year, and we meet at least 5 or 6 times per year at our Ruston Conference Center in Riverside. That may change. We may be doing some more webinars, but I'm thankful and I'm hopeful that in the future we'll be able to reconvene at some point in time at our Ruston campus. The main part that I want to emphasize, or the main theme that I want to emphasize with our Asian American Pacific Islander Task Force is education. Many of you talked about education. We talked about the discrimination that's going on currently with Asian Americans and Asians throughout the entire country as well as the world. Given the trying times that we're in and unprecedented times, I wanted to give you what I thought is a good Chinese proverb spin on education, and it reads, if you plan for 1 year, plant rice. If you plan for 10 years, plant trees. If you plan for 100 years, educate mankind. So on that note, I want to thank everyone, and I hope this has not only been an inspirational webinar, I hope it continues to be a very educational webinar and project. Thank you all, and I wish you well.
Thank you, Tony. And time surely went by so fast. As a reminder, please do not forget to complete our survey. Also, on the current slide, we also have the information on how you can become a member of the Asian American Task Force. So before we end, let me take this opportunity to thank our sponsors. Of course, we have the Riverside University Health System's Behavioral Health, Paris Valley Filipino American Association, University of California Riverside School of Medicine, Inland Chinese American Alliance, Filipino American Mental Resource Center, and the Asian Pacific Counseling and Treatment Center's Division of Special Services Group. And last but definitely never the least, as they help us put this production together, I would like to give a shout out and thank Dr. Wu, Priscilla Gutierrez from the RUHSBH, and Carol Buenaventura from APTC. Please do not forget again to complete our survey. And I also want to remind our participants to stay after the presentation for some photo ops. That's always important, right? Again, from the bottom of my heart and from all the hearts of the members and associates and partners of the Asian American Task Force, thank you, thank you, thank you for joining us. Stay safe and stay healthy.